Hi, and welcome to Kids in the Kitchen. I'm Chris Kendall, Family and Consumer Sciences Extension Educator with Ohio State University Extension in Tuscarawas County. Today we're going to be talking about pizza, lots of pizza. And so what that means is we need to make a pizza seasoning to get things started. But before we do, we're going to head over to the sink and wash our hands. So the instructions for this are available on our website, but I'm going to walk you through measuring out the herbs to make your own pizza seasoning. We're going to start with oregano, which is one of the primary herbs that we see in Italian cooking, and pizza originates from Italy. So here we go. With this, we're going to need 2 tablespoons of our oregano. Now when we're measuring herbs, you never want to measure over your container that you're going to have your final result in, or your final product in, because if you have too much, or if it like all comes out of the container, then ooh, what am I going to do? So you always want to have another container that we're measuring over. And this is true even like when we're making cookies and things like that, that we don't really want to measure directly into that container. Whoops, see there? That we're going to be using for our final product. So I'm going to measure this out. Switch hands here a little bit. And gently measure that out. And then I'm going to use a knife to make sure that I have that nice and level here. There we go. So there is 1 tablespoon of my oregano. There we go. There is 2 tablespoons of my oregano. Now you probably noticed that like with sugar or with other, less leafy kind of herbs, I would go straight across. Well, if I do that with this, it's going to catch all of those leaves, and I'm actually going to wipe out some of my measurement. So that's why I'm just kind of lightly putting that in there and making sure it's nice and even across the top there. So that's for our oregano, and again 2 tablespoons of oregano. Now we're going to put in 1 tablespoon of our basil leaves. The basil is another really common spice, well herb, not spice, that we are seeing in our Italian cuisine. So again, leafy, so I'm going to get that all in there, make sure we're nice and even. So there's our tablespoon of that basil. We're going to go ahead and put in a 1/2 tablespoon, so we're switching over to a 1/2 tablespoon now, a 1/2 tablespoon of onion flakes. Okay, so there's our onion flakes right there. Together. And then we're going to put in a 1/2 tablespoon of garlic powder. Now garlic powder is one that's a little bit finer grain, and so we can go ahead and use that knife to get that nice and evenly in there. Now some of you might be saying, oh, you know what, I don't have a 1/2 tablespoon measure in my measuring set. I have 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, and then I have a tablespoon measure. A lot of measuring sets are set up that way. If that's the case, then you're going to use 1.5 teaspoons is the equivalent to 1/2 tablespoon. Okay, so next I'm going to use my 1/2 tablespoon of thyme, and this is another leafy one. So I'm going to get that measured out there. There we go. Then my cayenne pepper. Again, oops, set that aside. We are still on 1/2 tablespoon of this, so my cayenne pepper. My paprika. That one has a secondary lid there. Paprika is another one that's kind of a fine grain here. There we go. I'm going to put in a 1/2 tablespoon of my pepper. Now I think this one, the pepper, especially if you have a fine ground pepper, it gets to be a lot of pepper. So I'm actually not going to put in quite 1/2 tablespoon of that. I'm going to reduce that down a little bit, so that would be actually closer to about a teaspoon of that pepper. And last, I'm going to put in lemon peel. And so that's a half a tablespoon of lemon peel as well. That leveled off. There we go. And we're all set. We can give this a nice mix. And we have lots of pizza seasoning to get us through our program.